Talk.
Uh-oh, it started.
Oh, surprise!
Surprise. Hey everyone, welcome to Tea Time. Um, Actually, I don't know if I'll have the voice to do this today. My voice is very groggy. Um, so anyway, hold on. Oh man, I might have to have one of you guys take over for me. I physically can't talk today. I'm so congested. Anyway, welcome. I'll see if any of you can see the broadcast, and then I'll go ahead and start. It's about what, a 30-second delay or something like that. But in this time, and anybody else can join too in this live hangout as we conversate and talk about various things. Um, but what I want to do now is share my screen because right now I'm going to talk about WordPress VIP. And I'm the only speaker today, so we can pretty much take our time and talk about anything we want. So let me know when you see my screen. Present to everyone. Okay, you guys see my screen yet?
Yeah, I see a logger and email.
Email, perfect. So the reason why I wanted to talk about WordPress VIP because it's a system that many people don't know, but we use it all the time. So what I want to do is, I mean, talk about this system. And what you're seeing here is an email. And this email is the uh, incident alert that went out earlier this week where Medley was read. And you'll see in bold it says, remember the WordPress VIP emergency publishing solution? So when Medley is down and doesn't work, going to WordPress is the only way producers can publish. So that really made me interested in this system, and I thought how fitting. Oh, thanks for confirming that, Jesse. I thought how fitting to talk about a new CMS during a time like this. So I want to show you guys, and as we look at various CMSs, I know that we had three, and they're like down to two. They kind of ruled out the Adobe one, and I heard those CMSs will primarily be in Java, but I think we'll see. I mean, going into the WordPress definition here, you kind of see it's an online open source website creation tool written in PHP. And when I saw it was open source, that surprised me because I didn't know this was an open source tool. In fact, I know that we pay money to use it. So I'll explain that in a moment. But it says in non-geek speak, it's a CMS. And let me see, they're touting that it's the easiest and most powerful blogging and website content management system in existence today. So that's what WordPress is. And if you're wondering how that relates to Medley, you can pretty much go to adc.com, and if you go to something like sports, you may have seen some of the sports blogs out there. So in the left-hand column, you'll kind of see a section for blogs, and then you can click on See All Blogs, and then you can go to a blog like Mark Bradley, and look at the URL here, markbradley.blog.adc.com. So that isn't hosted by our service. We're actually paying for that hosting. And I'll get more into that a little later, but you'll kind of see a blog entry here and all of the blogs specific to Mark Bradley. So you'll see comments here, and I just learned from Michael Burns that who has a superior knowledge of WordPress and Rich Vasquez as well. So we'll see if they want to join in, but if you look at these comments here, they're provided by Livefire, which is another vendor. So I kind of wanted to. I have the question out there, like, are we just providing the wrap here, and how much of this is provided by us as opposed to provided by WordPress? Because when I look at this, this looks kind of like very much like our site. These widgets, the latest chatter widget. I see. Oh, I know we don't have something like this. This little indicator that tells you, I guess, what's the most popular. So the more popular blogs would probably be a little bigger. And this wrap right here is something provided by us. This blog in particular consumes a wrap to provide this header and footer that you kind of see here. So, we say WordPress VIP, but I was thinking, like, what is WordPress VIP? Because we saw that WordPress is basically a CMS. But if you go to WordPress VIP, which is what we're using, the leading WordPress solutions, and that's what the Mark Bradley and all of our blogs are on. It's the leading WordPress solutions for enterprises. So going here, you see that they provide hosting, they provide VIP support, and it's used by a number of industries that you see here: NBC, TED, CNN, Time, UPS. So I think that's pretty interesting there. And I'll go ahead and pause a moment because I am getting a message. Oh, people can see my screen. Okay. And everyone, since I'm losing my voice and I might not physically be able to talk, please join the Hangout and just, here it is, just say anything, and that will kind of help me out. So they provide support and hosting, mostly. So Rich Vasquez actually wrote a page on how to set up a WordPress environment here. And this is the process that I kind of went through, where you set up a Vagrant image. And based on those steps, you can set this up locally, because when it comes to testing WordPress changes, we don't have an official testing environment for it. So Dave Young from CSE works on most of the WordPress tickets that come in today, and he has an instance of this set up on his cloud server, which is what he owns, and he'll send that link to QA and make changes there on the fly and kind of have them test it, but it won't go through our normal process where we deploy to an FE. So he'll kind of test it there. And Rich Vasquez has a setup like this on his cloud servers as well, but we don't really have an FE where we set this up at.
Hey, so, Ron, when you say QA, do you mean our QA or is it WordPress QA?
Yeah, that's a good question. So our QA, we QA it, but when WordPress comes into play is when you submit code to their servers. So they have a code process where they use SVN, and you check out the code, you make a commit, and then before it goes to production, they have support code review it, and then it's live within like a few hours. So just like that. So it would be our QA. And sometimes like some people have local setups. So if they do this right here, let me see, Vagrant SSH. And again, all of the setup scripts and everything that I'm running now came from these wiki instructions, which came from WordPress site. It tells you how to spin up a new Vagrant image just to work on their stuff, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to do Vagrant up and bring up my local server, and I will show you what that looks like once you bring it up. And I really made very minimum changes here. So if I do VIP local, you'll see, yeah, you'll see the WordPress setup. And the reason why you see our code here is because I've enabled our CMG theme. We have a CMG mobile theme, a CMG theme, and I think those may be the only two. We might have another one out there too. Let me check to make sure I'm not lying to you. We have one for GP1. Okay, so those are the code repositories. So each one of these repositories might have various themes. But I can definitely tell you this is the theme that I'm using is a CMG2 theme, in which case you will get this wrap here. And the reason why I was interested in the wrap was because I have a metrics ticket where where the generating metrics were not being reported. So when I signed in, it didn't report things like the age and the username or anything to Site Catalyst. So that was an issue. After talking with John, it seems like we have no method of authenticating on non-Medley sites for wraps. And I kind of verified that to be true because in the the Medley /analytics/ I think it's tracking.py code, there's a statement that says user.request. is authenticated. It checks for that. And if they're authenticated, it makes a series of calls to Generain to populate a UR metrics cookie with your data. So that ticket, I talked to Jim Peters about it. He's my manager. He's the manager of newspaper, and he said that, hey, it's funny that you should talk about this because John Robinson is dealing with a similar thing where he's creating a Generain widget and is going to know how to authenticate. Well, actually, I'll let John. John, you can probably explain that a little better than I can about what you're doing with that.
Yeah, so we have a few issues with that. A little tangential. Let's see. I'm trying to self-gauge how long it should probably be. So there's a few issues, including where our cookies are stored and what we can access on these wrap sites, which I don't know a URL for one of these blogs. Rob, can you pull up like one of the URLs? Because if it's in one of our subdomains, like something like blog.myajc.com, okay, so this would probably work. Then we're good to go because we can rip off the stuff from just ajc.com. But we can't access from markbradley.blog.ajc.com. It is not cool to access cookies from www.ajc.com. So that's one issue. And in dealing with Arcadium wraps, we've added this other cookie called the alias cookie, which is what they wanted. So I super hacked up some stuff along with Rich to read from that and kind of like make it work, quote unquote. But it's kind of ugly. Anyways, some of my changes I was doing recently were to make some accommodations for that. We also have CORS issues, the cross-origin resource sharing from different domains. I have a branch that I just kind of parked temporarily for that. And talking with TechOps and Jim Mack, the man was telling me some potential issues with our load balancer and how all the FEs go to the same virtual IP. And so if we were to roll out my changes, while yes, we would have authentication, just Janrain, not Medley. We would not have a Medley session, but just Janrain. Let's see. So we would be good, except that all the FEs would be broken. TIE is fine. Local would be fine. Prod would be fine, but FEs would be broken. So I was like, well, that's not a very good solution. So anyways, there's work coming out with that. I was kind of exploring. I keep kind of spamming everybody. Oh, post message for iframe. We can do super awesome hackery from that. We can store stuff in like Flash objects, but that's getting really gross. Anyways, there's some good research to be done and good solutions and workarounds I think that we can get to pretty soon, imminently. And I'll just keep bothering Jim Peters to be like, oh yeah, let's explore all this crazy esoteric crap, because that's what I do. That's all I got.
That's good. That's good. I'm gonna see if we can get Michael Burns in here too. I think he was trying to join, and he knows. He knows. He's pretty intimate with WordPress VIP too. So let me see.
He's the goat. He's here.
Oh, he's here? Okay, cool. Yeah. So Burns, if you could, and maybe Jesse, any of you guys can, chime in about WordPress VIP. That'd be great.
I didn't have anything to add. I was actually going to mention something earlier, but I can't remember what it was because it took like 8 minutes to figure out why my USB thing is dead. So my USB headphones, which I bought for this office specifically, are now dead. But no, carry on. Sorry.
Cool,
And
cool.
yes, I am the goat.
I was looking at this flowchart here, and I guess I was trying to. Well, first of all, the one of the things I wanted to know is like how much of this is this all of our code, or how much of this is provided by WordPress VIP?
So everything, there's two different. If you looked at an old blog that's on, if you looked at an old blog that's not on the JP2 design, so a Dayton Daily News blog, they, yeah, you might be able to find one under. Go up to the top. I think there's one up at the top. Whoops, we lost the presentation.
Oh, did you? Can you not see Dayton Daily News anymore?
Not in the live stream. We can't.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll just reshare it, and then you guys should be able to see it. Or
So
refresh.
there's an ohiopolitics.blog.daytonDailyNews.com that's using the old theme, the JP. I'm going to call it JP 2 version 1, because it was actually part of the JP2 redesign to move a lot of these people over to the WordPress VIP. In that case, it's the masthead, the right rail, and the footer are all coming from the wrap, and we only blow away the content well. In the newer the JP2 V2 layout, which you've been showing, that is strictly the title bar across the top. And one of the reasons was there was a lot of struggling to get the new ad placements from the new design into the new theme, and that's all done natively in the theme now. It allows a little bit more flexibility with the. It allows a little bit more flexibility with the matching the new design. Whereas the goal of the original theme was to reuse as much of the medley wraps as possible. They had new ad positions they wanted to sell, and that's why the other advantage of doing it the way that's done in JP2 is that you can actually use more of the native WordPress widgets to do right rail things, as opposed to having to inject your content into the right rail. So if you do Ohio Politics, ohiopolitics.blog.daytonDailyNews, you should be able to see it.
Okay.
One of the challenges with the old way is there was a lot of desire for customization of the right rail, and it required a lot of injection of. We had to put placeholder containers in the right rail to make sure that we can inject some of the preferred WordPress VIP widgets in the new JP2 design, because we control everything below the nav bar. In the theme, it's completely unlocked.
Okay, cool. And I brought up Dayton Daily News, Ohio Politics right here. So the comments here, is this supplied by WordPress?
No, all commenting on all blogs, regardless of the themes, all commenting is done with Livefire.
Okay, got it.
And the streaming is not coming from your desktop anymore, by the way.
Oh, okay. That's weird that it keeps cutting off. Let me enable that again. But I basically went to a legacy blog that we had, clicked on the blog, and I saw a little comment form, and I was asking about that. Okay, cool. So it should be sharing again. I think I'll go ahead and open it up for questions at this point.
I've got a question, Rob.
Yeah, sure.
It's Paul Bissix. Because like in the email that you shared, they remind the properties that WordPress VIP is available as an emergency publishing solution. How would that actually work? What if Medley was frozen and I had something to get out and it wasn't blog material? How does WordPress VIP fill that gap?
Yeah, I was actually wondering that myself. I was going to look on the internet for like a alternate like a content publishing workflow for WordPress VIP. So I'm sorry I don't know that offhand, but that is a good question. If
What was
anybody,
the question?
What does it look like if it's used as an emergency publishing solution? Does that just mean only publish via blogs, or is there some other way in which WordPress VIP can publish pages?
No.
Domains?
So what happens in the new design? The impact would be less. The nav bar would disappear. In the old design, if Medley went down, the wrap would be cached for a certain period of time, but it would eventually cache out. So when we had Redley, we set up 11. Sarah Skinner and I spent 8 hours straight setting up 11 to 12 emergency blogs, and they were all being powered by the wraps. The wraps were not part of the problem with Medley. It was during Redley. So as long as Medley was able to had a cached version of the wrap available at the wrap endpoint, those emergency blogs could be used for publishing and solving the problems that were going on with publishing latency. WordPress doesn't really do much with its VIP customers. As much as we pay for the service, they basically what we're paying for is like enterprise level stability, security, and basically code review, so that they do everything possible to make sure that what you're pushing up to them doesn't muck up their system for other publishers and yourself. But they don't offer a lot beyond that in terms of services.
yeah, thanks. I was wondering like why are we paying for WordPress VIP? And I heard it's a pretty high amount too. Like any idea what we're paying those guys?
Yeah, the WordPress, a single developer seat license. I think we have two now that John Robinson and now you are using to make theme changes. A seat license is $7,500. They only want one committer and one code pusher by default. And CSE, the Dave Young from CSE has been sitting on the original seat license since August or September of 2013 when he started doing the work with me when I was the delivery lead for WordPress VIP blogs. Now that looks like it's expanded, and they seem to be willing to throw a lot of money at it. Each new theme costs us a certain fee. I think it's in the multi-thousands of dollars. And we can put as many sites as we want to on the theme, but the theme is where the cost is. Each VIP contract is different. So they sometimes pay per site. They charge per site. Sometimes they charge per theme. Sometimes they charge a mix of them, and I don't know I know that it's fairly expensive. It's at least it's over $10,000 to do a new theme. I think I may be wrong, but the expense was in that range for their services.
Yeah.
And going back to the security, they're pretty. A lot of people talk about how WordPress is just a gaping ship of gaping holes of security. WordPress VIP recently introduced, I think, actually last year, they require two-stage authentication for everything. So if you want to do anything at all in the system, you have to do two-stage, which for a lot of people, if you think about it, that is well outside of the bounds of the amount of security effort they want to put into it. So they take it a lot differently. If you ever get a chance to talk with someone from Automattic, they will describe a lot of how there are differences between their VIP product, the next tier down, which is $500 a month. It's an enterprise product, and then the next product down, which is the more common one, which is the WordPress.com product, and then they talk about the WordPress.org open source project. And the flow of updates between those tiers is very unique. It was actually pretty impressive how they managed it. There are contributors from inside WordPress that there are certain things that there are certain directions that certain new features flow between the open source project and the actual paid project. So if I had a recording of it was about 5 minutes. She explained it so super succinctly. It was very interesting how they managed that and how they've built up this sort of commercial project on top of the open source product.
I have a quick comment on the license question. So the seats, one thing that we had proposed early on to help potentially manage that, this is sort of a theory, is the possibility with SVN, we could, with some sort of automation, we could probably set up in Jenkins and establish that seat at a deploy level, basically all the way up to treating that as if we're deploying to prod to actually go into their review process. You could then potentially mirror, and I think we are mirroring maybe the SVN repo to Git. So I'm not sure. Do you know that for sure, Michael? Is that true, or have we ever actually accomplished that?
I think John Robinson actually has done that. He's done a setup of how to push that up. So I think that's been done in some sort of fashion since I moved over to the platform team.
Yeah, so the discovery around whether or not we could possibly mirror that seat or move that seat sort of to a higher tier than our individual developers to contribute into like a deploy production branch would then potentially save us some costs there in the long run rather than trying to build it out laterally. But that would require a little bit of discovery, I think, with perhaps the automation team.
Cool, thanks guys. That was very good information about the licensing and the seats and why the differences of tiers, because I had no idea about the .org, .com, and what we were paying for. But really appreciate that. And to go back to your point, Paul, I found this page on emergency publishing solutions that Sarah and Burns and some other people have set up. And they have some links here. I actually went to one, and I went to Dayton Daily News. Yeah, so I mean, I'm not sure if this is actually what they did, but it actually brings up a page with a few blogs, and I'm not sure if you can actually comment here. So this probably has the potential to be the alternate workflow, but yeah, I don't see a place to comment, so not too sure about it, but you could look at Emergency Publishing blog, and they have a few pages on the internet for it. Yep, cool. And what you guys noticed is I did Vagrant up to bring up my box, and I kind of logged into WordPress VIP. All you have to do is do vip.local, and it'll bring up a local instance. And you can kind of see what that looks like. They have some boilerplate setup that they have, like Hello World block. And I mean, this looks pretty nice. I didn't have this header and footer at first, so I did have to go to the admin. And with the help of Rich, he kind of helped me with the setup. So if I go to settings and then let me see, general, I was wondering, like, where do you put in the API wraps? So you have fields here called wired wrap URL, mobile wrap URL, and you put it here and you save it, and that will give you the wraps that you see.
Hey Rob, so quick question on this, on the setup. Is this well documented on, I'm assuming, so there's the VIP virtual machine, right, that they have their install, but there's clearly going to be some other steps to get our stuff into that. Is it just a straight SVN checkout, or where is that documented, or can you talk about that at all?
Yeah, sure. So Rich has did a good job of documenting these aspects. So he goes into how to set it up, but I did have to have a call with him to do the SVN checkout. So in order to do that, I went here and just did SVN CO, and then I checked it out. the themes. And that was necessary. That's a good point. That was necessary in order to see the CMG themes. So I had to go to the Vagrant directory, and then I guess that's the only one, temp, and then archives and partial. That doesn't sound right. Okay. I wonder where those themes are then. Maybe Vagrant wasn't the root directory that I installed these at. Maybe he documented it. I had to check out this code in a particular directory, and then once I did that, I was able to see the themes and configure them. So to answer your question, Jesse, I would say there are bits and pieces of documentation here. It has most of what you need, but as far as more structure and everything, it could probably use a little bit more of that. He mentions SVN here. He tells you to repos, but he doesn't give you the commands, or he doesn't give you the directory that you need to check out or go into for themes. Yeah. Clone. He does say CD Vagrant here. Oh, maybe. Oh, I have to do SSH probably. That's probably why I don't see it. Okay. And then I have to go back to the previous directory that I was in, which was and I'm just going to take a second to navigate. And you guys are welcome to talk or ask questions while I find this. I'm going to SSH into it and show you where the themes are pretty much. Username workspace maybe. Okay, let's try that. Username. Space. So let me get out of here. A new shell. See where I'm at. VIP. That's where I put it. Okay, so if you were opening a new shell, this is what you would kind of do. I wonder if Vagrant is probably still up, right? Because I haven't halted it. I just closed my window. Okay, and then you would go to Vagrant here, and then does he have what you do from that point? Nope, he just says go to /Vagrant. Okay. So I want to say www, maybe WP, and then, okay, I think I found it. So here are the various themes, and in one of these directories, I actually checked out the 3 repos here: CMD2, CMG Mobile, CMG-Mobile. Yeah, so CMD, CMG-2, CMG-2-Mobile. And once I got to that point, I went to settings, and this is how you enable a theme. My sites maybe, and then okay, you go to themes here, and then you'll see the CMG specific themes that I was talking about. Then you click on it, and then you click on apply. And at that point, I was able to see the specific CMG2 theme that we had. And again, for the code review process, yeah, so Dave, he'll just, I wonder if I have that link to Dave's server. Let me see. Yeah, actually, we do. So if anyone wants to check it out, ajc.dev.csedigital.com. You'll kind of see, you'll see where Dave does his development, where QA where they do their testing, and once they sign off, once they're happy with it, Dave would just kind of commit the code to the CMG repositories on his box, and then he'll move the card to or the story to accept it. So it's kind of like a varied workflow from what we have traditionally. Are there any questions on that?
No,
Okay, cool.
but thanks. Yeah, thanks very much, Rob, for elaborating on the setup.
Oh, no problem. Thanks, Jesse. I wanted to make sure you guys are still with me. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I had. So I think now we can just have any questions or close out, whatever you guys prefer to do. And I'll look at tea time to see if there are any questions.
I guess, Rob, I had one parting thing, which this is probably just more for workflow with our vendors like CSE, but probably just a question about the specifications for the setup for that development environment. My assumption is it's whatever specs the VirtualBox from Automatic needs. I mean, I've installed the free version of WordPress plenty of times, and I think we've discussed this in the past. It might just be that it's essentially a beefy version. It's got Jetpack sort of baked in because Jetpack is like their Uber extension plugin or whatever. So anyway, but that's just for sort of scoping out if ever in the future one of the groups inside CMGT needs to post something rapidly. I know that there was an effort from the Autobots team to create I think it was a puppetized recipe to spin up something very similar to this for a separate adjacent project in WordPress, but on Amazon Web Services. I don't know how it fits, how it would dovetail with this workflow, since it's on Web Services and you don't really have to go through Automatic's approval process. It's a little different, and the costs probably are different too. I wouldn't necessarily say it's any cheaper without getting into a lot of detail, but anyway, just a random sort of parting thought on that.
Yeah, thanks so much for that. And I think that's been the bane of Rich's existence, as he would put it, that finding a place to test WordPress blogs has been very difficult for him. He's actually set up something himself where he has, I'm going to post this in IRC, and I'm going to go to it in the browser, cmg1.richvasquez.com. He actually has a WordPress setup as well, and he has an auto ticket that he filed, well, I'm not sure where it came from, reporter Jim Peters, auto 1052, where it says create an FE for QA work for WordPress blog. So it might dovetail into like what you're talking about, the cloud services, Jesse, and we know there's a need for something like this because doing WordPress work is pretty intimidating. The developers don't know how to go about it. They don't know how to get it tested. And Dave Young has kind of been the only person, well, I won't say the only person, but for JP2, it's like once a WordPress ticket comes in, it's like, oh, Dave is the only one who knows how to work on it. So this last week I've been kind of diving into it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I mean, the risk of sounding too curt, that's kind of unacceptable to me. I think that we really need to a virtualized, whether it's scripted or not. I feel for Rich. I didn't know that was going on. To try to make that as easier as possible, you really shouldn't be that painful. So, didn't know that. And with that, but I didn't mean to derail us right at the end here. But thank you very much for everything, Rob.
Yeah, thanks for participating.
I'm sorry. So Kevin Smith, just sort of a plug for this. He talked to us a little bit earlier at the front end meetup about his experience working with TC39, which is the international sort of governing working group for some ECMAScript standardizations. And he's flying to California next week to work with that group. He has some proposals that he's been working on for a number of years, and he's going to be presenting to them. And I was just going to say, just to put him in the spotlight and keep him, not give him a free pass out of this, I think I encouraged him to try to come back and speak at T-Time. So maybe in the next one or the one after that. So just a heads up. You should definitely ping him, Rob.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jesse. And then, well, that's very good news. That's very good news about that, about you, Kevin. And Tim also wants to do give a talk next T-Time on JS. So we got some very interesting front end things for you guys lined up for next T-Time. That's great, man.
Sweet.
All right. Well, I will go ahead and call it a meeting. I mean, I really enjoyed it, and you guys, whatever you're working on, man, don't hesitate to give a quick talk about it at T-Time. No matter what it is, if you want to try to solve a problem or like whatever ticket you're looking at, or if you found a new technology, feel free to share it with everyone. I don't get to develop as much as I like to these days, but once I find out things like this, I definitely share it with you guys whenever I get a chance.
You want to develop vicariously through us, Rob?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Can I do that too, please?
Yes, Jesse's in the same boat, and Michael Burns.
By the way, the Angular JS and the Backbone and the Fire or something. I don't know. I think Coddington Bear knows that one. We should do a shootout of those sometime. Suggestion.
Yeah. If we can get a guest speaker back, I'm sure we'll hear from Derek Anderson, and he'll start drumming up Inyo support.
Yeah.
Oh, right. All right, well, guys.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, I love that idea. So have a happy Friday, man, and a good weekend. Yeah, take care.
Thanks, Rob.
All right, thanks.